Chromie, because I think the probability that coming out from Method is a lot higher. This is the best battleground for HeroesHearth Esports. They are very, very effective when it comes to the rotations, things of the like. I would even argue they're better than Tempo Storm on Dragonshire, even though Tempo Storm is very successful on the battleground.
Not wanting to play against Maev.
Maev and the Genji both removed. HeroesHearth getting the Malfurion, but we've already mentioned how that's very rarely an issue so far for Method. So now is a question of how are HeroesHearth going to deal with it? Are they going to go bursty, or are they just going to accept that Decad's a thing and just try and play around it without directly countering it?
Right, is McIntyre going to be on this Malfurion?
Oh, come on.
Too real.
Too soon.
Too soon. Like years ago.
Like 2 years.
It's like, yeah, it was after I stopped playing. Like, it's a bit ago.
I do want to point out that one of the themes I've been mentioning a lot during this these last two series is that Johanna has jumped up a lot, right? So I was thinking maybe if they wanted to run Deckard Cain, I think he works really well with Johanna, and that whether we see Johanna in this first rotation or not would indicate the priority perhaps of Method of what they want to run. They take the Garrosh instead, which is not as great with the Deckard, obviously, and Dahaka. So looking for, again, going to that macro style, using the Dahaka, they have prioritized more than any of the European teams, and they're just playing to their own style right now, which has been pretty successful for them so far.
So these two teams have played each other recently, in fact, at the Western Clash, where it was actually HeroesHearth that came out with a 2-1, being the first American team to knock a European team out of an international tournament in a very long time. So a little bit of history here, and they're bringing out the Tracer, classic Tracer Malfurion, and with a little bit of Blaze as well. We've actually seen the Tracer into, potentially, it could be banned out now, but Tracer into Decad a couple times now.
Yeah, and I can't help but feel like that's got to be one of the justifications for that pick for HeroesHearth Esports. That being said, I mean, they do have, you know, very impactful kind of Tracer play from beginning to end there, so I'm not surprised to see that kind of taken off the table. And then seeing Blaze kind of make that transition towards the off lane. I am a little bit concerned, if you guys have noted, there's some flexing kind of happening between HeroesHearth Esports, and I can't totally, you know, break down when each player goes to each character or totally understand it yet, but as it stands with Dragonshire and Blaze specifically, if Arthlon ends up being the individual that does find himself on that lane and how impactful that off lane is, I'm suddenly going to feel a lot more concerned. That being said, I think McIntyre is an amazing Tracer and a lot of the times is the person who flexes on it.
I think Zeratul was one of the components of that flexing around, and
the next game, McIntyre played the Zeratul after Arthlon played it in game 1, and they won the game with McIntyre, whereas they struggled with the one on Arthlon.
Yeah, I always get concerned when there's swaps like that going on. Depends on how you want to play it, right? Because if you're playing a roaming Zeratul that's in the 4-man versus a solo laner, there's a totally different type playstyle. It's a different position. But I guess that's going to be irrelevant in this game, right, with the Zeratul ban coming out. So we know that HeroesHearth, at least from our theories and our misings, will be going towards some sort of play around the Deckard Cain. Banning it out right here when you already have the Tracer feels a little bit overdoing it. They're going to ban the Chromie instead, so comfort pick removal here for Nick, something that works well with Deckard Cain. So leaving Deckard open, but allowing, leaving Deckard open, but at the same time making him a weaker pick if they decide to go with him. And Method does not. They go with the Vala Tassadar here.
That's interesting. I like the idea of stealing away the task from the Tracer composition, if that's what they wanted to go for. And they've left their support open. It means they can, if they want to, pick up something with a cleanse, like a Rhaegar, for example. If HeroesHearth do decide to commit even further down that potential CC burst damage style, whereas HeroesHearth, they still have a lot of options. Even if they want to, if they feel safe doing it, the Hanzo is still available if Crowin is up for his top hero.
The biggest focus I think HeroesHearth has to keep in mind at this point in time is the Vala Tassadar composition is going to draw a lot of aggro within the tri-lane. HeroesHearth early within phase number 1 actually put a tri-lane on the top half of the map to demand responses on disproportionate 1-4 compositions because they didn't want to cater to a standard losing 1-4. That being said, didn't always look the best, but either way, tempo within the Tracer and the amount of pressure that if that last pick is something more of like the Ariel or things of the like, it's going to be very, very difficult here for them. They end up kind of committing to at least still more kill potential within the 4 and definitely a good response to that kind of tri-lane pressure because Jaina is one of the best. Tri-lane pressure always is on your half of the map whenever they get the clear. Jaina, one slow, distance to safety becomes colossal in those middle and bottom lanes, and so I think it's a pretty good, pickup here for Heroes.
Has this cleaned up who you think might be playing what on HeroesHearth for this Jaina?
I believe, to be honest with you, no, because the adjustments between Hearth and Mac have been so kind of random, honestly, a little bit back and forth, and it's been a new adjustment. It's not been in phase in all of HGC North America. They actually didn't do that. It's only as of late that we've seen that adjustment.
They said in their interview before we did that they are really trying to fill in for each other's weaknesses and adjusting, trying to just match each other, basically working in synergy to pick whatever is needed when it's needed.
I think that the Jaina pick is quite strong here because you have ETC, and as you two were alluding to, the 4-man can give you some pick potential. And you also deal with some of the wave clear problems that you've had previously in the draft. Uther comes out here for hyper protection against that burst. I really think the Uther pick seals the deal for me for Method's draft. They've got great wave clear. They have a global. That's what they've been focusing on throughout this tournament.
Right.
There's a lot of lockdown with Tassadar and with Garrosh and Dahaka to deal with the Tracer to stop that mobility. So for me, I'm looking at this draft and I think even though HeroesHearth has a solid draft and they did kind of make some small counters to what we were seeing on the side of Method here, I just feel like the wave clear is going to be an issue, even though Jaina has okay wave clear.
Well, Method seems in high spirits. I spent that entire draft listening to them doing terrible impressions of their heroes, like Mecha Tassadar online. So I was like, well, okay, then I guess. So we're going to go to predictions. We're going to be starting with you, Tetra.
I'm on Bobber Wolf. I really think that Method's draft is kind of a home run. Any kind of burst counter that HeroesHearth could be running here, Uther kind of shuts down, and of course Garrosh with that armor anyway, stacking that up is always going to be good until it reaches the max. So I'm going with Method here.
I think I kind of already explained myself. I think the draft is better for Method, and I vote for them as well.
This is the true
test.
Faith
in the region. Faith in your region.
I disagree with even the draft advantage, to be honest. I think there was like a lot of good fluctuation, but I actually feel like HeroesHearth got the upper hand. That being said, HeroesHearth, I'm questioning whether or not they're going to No, I'm sticking with the pick. All I'm going to say is I question whether or not they're going to execute. I'm sticking with HeroesHearth Esports. I think being on Dragonshire is a huge advantage for them.
Bullied into sticking. No, he was always going to do it.
He literally swapped over on the most dominant region we've had in all of Heroes. So I don't want to hear any banter.
I absolutely respect the map choice. I absolutely respect due to the map.
I enjoyed the what about argument going over there. That was well done. I am going to go with Method to start things off here. And we can see what Twitch chat wants to do. I don't even need to justify my opinion, it's great. I'm not analysis here. 62%, and we have 38% over on the side of HeroesHearth Esports. I think not taking into consideration things like Western Clash with the past results of these two teams against one another. Let's see what our commentators think going into our last series of the day. What are your thoughts?
A lot of history and a lot of importance on this match, but I'm kind of feeling HeroesHearth here. I talked to McIntyre, and he said they're going to play a little looser than yesterday, and I'm ready to see what that means.
Schwempy likes to go ham when he's on the Vala, and the fact that he's got double support, either his aggression's going to pay off or it's going to hurt him one way or another. We're going to find out soon.
Well, we're about to find out. Enjoy it, guys.
Thank you very much. A lot of picks that we would expect from HeroesHearth Esports, though, still trying to figure out who's going to be playing what as we continue to see adaptations happen with McIntyre and Arthalon specifically. But one thing for sure, Crowan's going to be trying to pop off on that Jaina. In the blue, representing Europe, it is Team Method with Arcaner playing Garrosh, Aethero Angel on Dahaka, Schwimpy playing Vala, Tassadar played by Nick, and Kurson on Uther.
And for HeroesHearth, trying to climb their ladder here on the international scene, it will be BBJ on Malfurion. McIntyre indeed will be on the Tracer Gilly. Arthalon on Blaze, we know he feels he can play anything and everything. Crowan on Jaina, and Ishbu going to be manning the front line there on ETC.
So let's see if HeroesHearth can get the setup ETC, Jaina, Roots, Destruction to get some early kills, or if the double supportive method will be enough to keep Schwimpy alive even as he may go ham. Maybe they can force down a Dahaka stock, or what will happen from there? You know, things will be helping out versus that kind of burst. Things like your Uther in his devotion armor that he gives, potentially a Call is Light, depending on what build we see Tassadar want to build into.
Well, right now, of course, that wave clear, when you have the Tassadar, it makes it a little bit easier to flex over into that mid lane and allow Vala to just kind of do work. So we'll see how they do approach that. Again, Tracer, kind of the ultimate X factor when it comes to a lot of games. So we'll see if Tracer can find those picks. It's going to be hard, obviously, trying to get the pick onto Dahaka, who does have that burrow under, is going to be a little bit of a problem. So I imagine a lot of that focus will be here between the mid and bottom as we've got a toss over already.
She'll be putting a lot of pressure onto Ishbu. I think that'll be a common factor. for Ishbu and trying to land potentially those mosh pits once you get to heroic abilities. Do you think we're actually going to go into mosh pit given the Rain of Vengeance factor for Method, or do you expect Ishbu to move into stage dive?
I feel stage dive is probably the more appropriate choice. I mean, just due to the, I mean, there are so many. And then if you have Uther with a cleanse and a divine shield, you can save 2 people at once. It is going to be tough, but it is one of those things that if the moment is right at the time and you really feel it can help turn things in your favor, maybe it'll be a wait and see type situation, but definitely one that is always a difficult task, I think, when you're going into this style of comp.
Well, Shrine phase is now active. Both teams picking up their Giants. They're going to meet in the middle. And the clear should determine the factor of who gets to have that bottom shrine. With a 4-man of Method being down there, it'll be their choice or their ability to hold that bottom shrine, whereas the rotation of Tracer up to the top is pushed back to Haka enough that HeroesHearth is able to keep a hold of the Sun Shrine.
It is another thing to consider is that Vala could go into strafe to deal with that Tracer that you were just talking about, so that will be something to watch as we see the Pulse Bomb going out, getting a little bit of structure damage in here, but they're going to give up quite a bit in that bot lane. So McIntyre's rotation down here, again, giving up that bot lane, we know how advantageous it can be over the long run, but looks like PBJ and team were able to hold, put a little bit of damage back towards that of Method.
Yeah, the players' pluses and minuses, right? There are some advantages to being able to take out the top gates, the top towers, and being able to dive potentially. We've seen teams such as KSV Black do that last year, maybe having this hypermobile, oh, Hammer of Justice, that is going to be a kill first blood for Method. And as I was saying, maybe trying to be able to give some more room for Tracer to play. But whether or not it'll work out, Shrimpy takes a bunch of damage there, but gets healed on up.
Yeah, he barely got out of there. And, you know, that's the thing that, you know, McIntyre, one of the best that we have, you know, in the world, at Heroes, obviously, but, you know, the familiarity of going into these compositions, it's been a while since we've seen that. And he, at that time of that meta, was not a hero he was playing. So we saw a little bit, maybe a little bit too much of a deep dive there, unless you know that you can confirm the kill. Might have been a little overextension there by McIntyre.
Yeah, Jayho, you know this team extremely well, HeroesHearth. Why do you think that we're seeing this adjustment of having Arthlon go into the solo lane so that McIntyre plays Tracer? It seems like Tracer should be up Arthlon's alley.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem that way. I mean, there was a time earlier this year where that was the focus. I mean, there were some changes along who was playing what hero, especially depending on who was that secondary damage dealer, and it was Arthlon. And to be honest with you, coming into this weekend, as Schwempy is getting zoned out there, coming into this weekend, I was completely unaware that they had made this change.
Yeah, that route should have been immediate for Schwempy to know that it's likely the rest of HeroesHearth is trying to collapse in for that kill. He recognized it, he went down around the other way. But I also was taken aback and surprised by these changes. It's always hard to say that you support changing in the middle of a tournament, especially because it makes you be top tier in even more heroes than before. But for HeroesHearth, you know, they are very, very close at being able to qualify for the main event, DreamHack Sweden. So clearly what they're doing, they feel it's the best for their situation. Level 7 online for both the teams, very back and forth between the shrines as we see them swap sides for the moment.
Well, level 7 is huge here because the last time I saw this talent where it became meta, hold on a second, as McIntyre is getting assaulted here. I was going to say that's going to be a recall out. He's got the blink, but there's the death dealer value. When you vault, you get that bonus damage when you do that, and if you get the kill, you get the reset on that as well, and it's got to be that last hit. Did not get it there, but it didn't matter because the kill was there. And for Vala and Schwempy, I mean, he is looking to be really aggressive with this.
Well, both Schwempy and Nick are previous Tracer players, and what's one of the best ways to deal with a Tracer? Have hard-hitting auto attacks. That gives you that extreme extra damage from it, and it's going to give you the reset from that. So very cool to see this adjustment from Schwempy. Obviously, you don't get the cooldown reduction from the grenades of the multi-shot at 7 talent from there, but here, all about trying to get that kill, and it worked out from there.
Right now, Dragon Knight pushing, and in the bottom lane, Schwempy knows that he can kind of just casually go through here. We see the anchor from Garrosh there in the bottom. Now it looks like they're going to rotate in, and Jaina and Tracer, as we can see, they've still got to find their way back. And Blaze on Arthlon, he realizes he couldn't step forward there because he would just get the boot back over the wall. So it's going to be important for him to get across that line, but HeroesHearth starting to struggle as level 10 now here for that of Method.
This is a lovely split push from Method. You've seen the amount of structural damage that Avala can do. It's just that constant damage. And having her have that hot pursuit stacks, to have the movement speed, she's able to sidestep things like the power slide that was there. Now HeroesHearth, they're defense has to be split, and from that, Method can start to bring down front walls in a lot of different areas. Method have already brought down the well in here. Rain of Vengeance with the flank from Arcaner, takes out Jaina with the taunt, gets a second.
Wow, I am so surprised that HeroesHearth elected to stay there. We got a stage dive, though, down to the bottom. You could see that he tried to get the kill. There were no minions, so he felt that if he could get the slow and the stun, that the fort could finish the job, and unfortunately wasn't able to do so. But HeroesHearth, they're starting to slip a little bit. This has been a bit surprising to me that it seems like a little bit of the pressure might be getting to them.
Pulse Bomb out, chunks through Arcaner. And, oh. Well, he's all right. I felt the same when they played versus Team Dignitas yesterday as well. Not as synergistic as we've known HeroesHearth to be in the past, and that's always been one of their biggest strengths. But playing versus any European team can do that. The pressure that they could put on you and the plays that they have been able to make, it's understandable why you would feel that pressure.
Well, we can see the rotation of the mini-map. Blaze on his way down, whether that's the double lane soak or potentially look for a defense here because they know that they couldn't give up the invade. That's a smart play because if Arthalon still shows top, then maybe Dahaka goes in. But Arthalon, does he have the bunker? He is not able to even cast that as it is all hands off keyboard there as the taunt went in and there was nothing he could do to survive.
With the kind of burst like that, Malfurion still considering if he can save somebody with Tranquility through that or if BBJ just needs to go back to an old-fashioned Twilight Dream and hope that Jaina and Tracer can finish off targets after the fact. Do you have a preference there?
I feel Tranquility here. I mean, finding the priority targets to hit that Twilight Dream. I mean, you're looking at Garrosh, maybe a Dahaka. I mean, Uther's not normally going to step up, and if he is, he's probably okay if he ends up dying in that circumstance. So
McIntyre.
I feel the sustain. I mean, they're playing with fire here, it feels like.
Does. He has been hit a couple times from the combo. Shrines are now activated online. The camp in the top and bottom. This may simply be a free Dragon Knight for Method. They have played this interim between the Shrine phase perfectly as they're picking up both the Shrines. HeroesHearth gathering in the mid to see if they can stop this.
Looks like they might have found it, but Schwempy able to survive as the Water Elemental continued to come in. Stage Dive's going to be here as well. Can he get the slide over instead? That is a three-person taunt. Arcaner walks away. Drag's going to grab onto Blaze. Rain of Vengeance comes down, continues to lock down multiple members. But Method, they'll look to regroup and reinitiate. Incredibly
well done for Method that they're able to keep Vala alive without even using the Divine Shield. That is one big reason why they could reinitiate. They are hungry for this Dragon Knight and to take out more of the structures. And the longer they keep HeroesHearth here, the more that top camp can do, making it even easier and easier for future Dragon Knights to be channeled. Dodge on the drag. Arcaner getting a flip.
Schwempy is super aggressive there. I don't know if they have the delay there. Blaze was top and it was not in time. And now we've got second DK, 2-level lead, no 13. HeroesHearth back on the defense again. This DK getting a little bit baited by McIntyre, but remember, he is out of blink charges. He did go the cooldown reduction on his autos at level 7, so those will come back quicker, but it is hard to risk getting those auto attacks because there's so much threat.
This is Tassadar in the Dragon Knight too, meaning that there's still support here for Schwempy. There's still the primary tank, Arcaner, as a means of either support or engage. And Dahaka in the top. Arthalon's going to come down, gets spotted in the flank as he just face-checked, rocking right into the bush, forcing the bunker, forcing the stage dive as Arthalon, desperate for his life, jet propulsion's away.
Divine Shield popped onto Valo there to keep her alive. Schwempy's going to see if he can re-engage. Water Elemental is out. It's targeting Dahaka at the moment, but it looks like McIntyre's got his eyes on the prize there, and there's going to be the slow, the indomitable use, maybe the cleanse there, but the Twilight Dream's locking down one. They're chasing for more.
Yeah, McIntyre really wants that with the power slide. HeroesHearth will take 2 kills, finally being able to fight back, having the slow and the pulse bomb. The Water Elemental too, everything dropped on this Garrosh just to bring him down, but it's maybe finally to be had with the roots on the gate. HeroesHearth Esports get 3 kills. They save their keep. They're still a level behind, but they have a moment to take back control of this Dragonshire game.
I'd love to see them go full tempo storm style. Get that full double camp, push in this bottom lane. You have time. Instead, it looks like they're going to turn their focus just with this. Actually, now they're delaying it. Okay, I would have liked to see them maybe peel off a little bit quicker there. You can see there was a little bit of delay in that decision making, but it still should be here in time as Garrosh still 8 seconds away from spawning. Now we're going to have double camp pushing bot lane. This is an opportunity for HeroesHearth to catch up. They do, however, have to be careful that 16 right around the corner from Method.
16 and sieging into Garrosh, not exactly the easiest thing to try to do, and Method quick to make sure that it's not a triple camp pressuring them on the bottom lane. HeroesHearth, because of that 16, the fear and the threat of sieging versus Method's composition, just gonna head up to the top instead. They're gonna get their bruisers, maybe a gank on a Thero, but Thero with that movement speed, a very difficult one to catch there. So instead, just trying to push this top lane in, get the experience to 16, and get control somewhere in a lane.
I'm surprised that if they weren't going to double up on that camp that they didn't just grab the Knights earlier while multiple people were dead. Kron trying to double up by hitting the fort and the well there. It looks like he might have just missed the mark, but they are indeed trying to get some of that experience back, get that top fort. They are going to have to hustle to get back because they're going to lose this entire bottom keep wall if it goes on any longer.
Starting to see the backs.
You ready for a stage dive? I think this is an opportunity for a stage dive.
They have 16 here. He's looking to flank around. Stage dive comes in. And the slows there for Schwimpy. Schwimpy's the target. Cleanse, hand of protection. Is it enough? 3-man Rain of Vengeance at the end of the fray. It may just be that.
Dimensional Shift was used, so that's going to be their Kirsten. He's willing to die for the Ghost of Uther to provide those heals, but this is very reminiscent of what we had before where that bot lane ran it down. Instead, both shrines are captured, which means that there's going to have to be some contention over that DK positioning. And look at the flank there. Garrosh going in. He's got the toss in onto Blaze.
Blaze was once again stun locked to a hands-off keyboard, so there was no hope to bunker that and then try to make it out. Even with that body blocks everywhere, likely would have been just too much to handle. And that keeps Method in this phase too. They head straight to the mid. They have control of both these shrines. HeroesHearth doesn't want to get separated any more than that, which means they need to fight, they need to get a kill, and it looks like that target is Arcaner.
Doubling up is Arcaner. Who's going to get the toss over? But we do have a recall that's going to put McIntyre back in a safe zone. And again, Garrosh went that double up at 13, doubling his armor when he does activate that trait, and I think that pretty much is there. Obviously, you've got Uther heals to provide some armor as well, so he's armored up. It's been tough. McIntyre going to get the channel at the bottom, going to alleviate some of this pressure here for HeroesHearth. Yeah,
McIntyre can chunk a certain amount, you know, with the Quantum Spike, but it still just hasn't quite been enough. They have had a lot of near kills or near misses on that Garrosh.
Gilly, I can't help but feel that Schwimpy is like baiting all of these power slides out, and it's just like, you know, you're gonna miss. And that time you could see the Rain of Vengeance in response. Luckily, the roots came out from BBJ, because else I think Ishbu's gonna have a hard time retreating in those moments. But right now, Ishbu in the top lane, he's gonna again have the stage dive available, but this keep is exposed and at half health. Has to be very careful that it doesn't get out of hand before he gets there, because we could be looking at potential game.
And that's Ice Block used, so it's time for them to fight. Trying to bait out the Dragon Knight. Jet Propulsion from the side. Arthalon takes the brunt of damage from Method as they turn on him, but now McIntyre moves in. He has a Pulse Bomb. Can he find someone weak enough, worthy of using it? The rest of the team just trying to deal with the Dragon Knight. They know Vala will pop out of this, and she is going to pop out in a way that they have some positional advantage there, but the knockback of the Dragon Knight is helping out.
Recall is going to be used. Power slide onto one. Cleanse is going to be there. Arcaner, he's going to be okay. McIntyre looking for it. Just misses on that Pulse Bomb. And the Divine Shield comes out as well just for safety. It still does damage, even at the edge up forward. Able to get there. Arthalon on the assault here. But now they're biting off maybe more than they can chew, but they get the first takedown onto Vala.
They take out Vala, and they're still trying to chase down if they can. Arthalon with that Jet Propulsion was pretty big to be able to get that one kill. Finally, HeroesHearth get another kill, but they've lost their keep, and they need to keep going if they can get something done out of this to make sure that they're capitalizing on the death of Vala, because of this double tank, double support. When you lose your Vala, you lose quite a lot.
Right now, I think this is an opportunity for you. I mean, I hate to use the words, but it's time to run it down a little bit. I mean, you have 25 seconds before Vala is back. Siege Giant, one of them being tossed in by Garrosh, does make it difficult, and you don't have minions here, at least for another 5 or 10 seconds, so it's difficult, but you've got to start fighting back. You've got to start finding a way to get some control, and right now they're holding position. Now the minions going to make their way forward.
Lovely.
Water Elemental out as well, Gilly.
Such a good idea to get control over Arcaner. As soon as he tried to step forward, had a Blizzard, Water Elemental, everything, and that will seal the deal and causing a stagger death from Method. And this is huge. This is different. They got the one kill, but causing now 55 seconds without a Garrosh. Now HeroesHearth can feel even more confident because this delays. This gives them a lot more time, and with Shrines activating in 30 seconds, this is a big moment for HeroesHearth.
They're also racing towards 20, and they could potentially get it here off of this wall. They still need minions that are going to be here momentarily, 30 seconds before Garrosh. Dahaka was pushing that top lane, getting some experience of their own for Method. And right now, HeroesHearth let their foot off the gas just a little bit. They're going to find advantages elsewhere. As you can see, splitting off on the map, bottom lane and on the siege camp on the right. They're looking to take control of this bottom lane. That does buy them quite a bit of time due to the catapult pressure there. But they still have a lot of work to do, but they are rounding the corner till it's 20.
Right, the map is still slightly in favor of Method when you look at the lanes because of the top push of Dahaka, the global presence there, and the catapults in the bottom. Double camp in bottom's gonna help, but with Method all being back up, they should likely be able to delay this as long as they play their cards smartly until they can get 20 as well. HeroesHearth gonna push out this top. ETC isn't here, but he has stage dive up. He also has the crowd pleaser as a cooldown reduction, so he can try to make sure that he's keeping his global up as often as Method's.
20 is here. It's very, very close here for Method. As you can see, the approach towards the bottom. Remember, stage dive is available. Dahaka, he has that flank position if he wants to come in behind this team. Arcaner trying to get in. The oil goes down for the slow. Roots are zoning out as well. Arcaner looking for an opportunity, unable to find it just yet. Psionic Echo putting down the double size storms, zoning out a lot and helping with that wave clear. Now ETC should look to move his way to the top and grab that shrine. Arthalon got to get out of there.
20 popped for Method, and HeroesHearth back away. ETC gets to the top. Method starting to take bottom for the moment. It's Dahaka just watching, just in case there was any overlap of time where HeroesHearth might have been able to channel that Dragon Knight. Rowan has been doing such a fantastic job with the positioning of Arcaner. Stage dive coming down. They're trying to force this before Dahaka can get in.
Oh my, that double toss into the double stun. That was 4 people unable to get there, but the slow from the water elementals got Arcaner in trouble. That's going to be the first takedown so far. And McIntyre looking for more. Divine Shield has been used on Dafala as the assault continues here, Gilly.
It is. There's the Twilight Dream 2. Bunker blocks, and now a world of hurt as Athero goes down. A second kill for HeroesHearth Esports, but they lose Arthalon in the process. Method trying to fire back with their double support and the Schwimpy. But can he do enough versus the 4-man?
Oh, he just missed on the power slide. Now Schwimpy's turning it back around with the double support, the Infinite Archon. They are doing so much damage in return. Remember, the Shrine was available. Instead of getting that cap, Arthalon might have overextended. Schwimpy dodging everything they have to throw at him. Stage dive is back, Gilly.
And it forces a dimensional shift from the side. Now Tassadar is separated from the rest of the team. He throws back Schwimpy too, but Schwimpy dodges the power slide again, but not the Roots. HeroesHearth Esports and BBJ coming in for the team. McIntyre and the Water Elemental chasing down Nick before Uther can pop back up, and they're gonna watch for this one too.
They're on him like butter. I don't even butter is the right word. I just see yellow. It's butter. The other way all I know is right now it's time to get the DK. They need to go back. They did not get the Shrine. This should be game ending, Gilly. No Uther, no Tassadar, no Vala. They're going to have the siege camp coming in here in the bottom, and HeroesHearth has seemingly found their way back to take this game number 1.
HeroesHearth lost the first keep, but they kept fighting and knew what they needed to do against that catapult pressure. They used the ETC with the stage drive, and now they're looking at taking out a keep of their own. 30 seconds until Uther is back. Vala will be back in 15, but this is a full health Dragon Knight as the keep falls.
It looks like this should be enough. Kron already putting pressure onto the core. Ice block going to be used for BBJ, avoiding that toss. Athero trying to land anything and everything. The shields have fallen, and we have HeroesHearth on the core, taking game number 1, Gilly.
4 goes down. HeroesHearth Esports have done it again, at least in game 1. As they take out Method on Dragonshire.
Butter on a roll, by the way.
Like butter.
Like butter on a roll.
I thought you were going to bring back the Elmer's glue reference. Old school.
Either way, I mean, that was one heck of a game there. I mean, the aggression from Vala and Schwimpy just being hyper aggressive in those moments. You know, you could see that sometimes it forced maybe responses that Method wasn't expecting, and Method ran it down a few times, it seemed like, and the stage dive was the perfect answer for it.
It was, and shout outs again to Crone. I felt like he constantly made Arcaner check himself before he wrecked himself because so many slows, and that got even better with Wintermute later on. Yeah. It was so fantastic to see the tenacity of HeroesHearth Esports, despite losing their keep, despite losing so handily to Team Dignitas, to come back in and still be able to take the win there.
Got quite a bit of fight out of him, so does Method, but we're going to send it back over to Caleris at the command center. Here are their thoughts.